Hi, it's Will
And Derek.
with Tabletop Generals. You may be wondering why I'm wearing a cowboy hat, and I assure you, there's a very good reason. Aces and Eights, the Wild West role-playing game by Kenzer and Company. Kenzer and Company, of course, is famous for Hackmaster. And they just came out with the Hackmaster 5th edition, which we did a video review of a while back, and we're a big fan of it. They came out with Aces and Eights before they came out with the Hackmaster 5th edition. And in some ways, it's very similar. It's a Wild West role-playing game. It takes place in an alternate history of the United States where the South won the Civil War, the Mormons got their own nation of Deseret, the 5 civilized tribes of Indians have a nation called Sequoia, the Empire of Mexico still controls a lot of territory that it historically lost, and also the Republic of Texas remains an independent nation. So you've got, they basically extrapolated a few differences from the way that history unfolded and allowed all this other stuff to happen that didn't happen. And they call it the Shattered Frontier setting. The South won the Civil War. Historically, the South lost the Civil War, but a lot of people had said that the South would have won the Civil War if the British came to their aid. And they tried to get a European power to come to their aid historically, and of course failed, and then the Union beat them. Go Union! But in the Aces and Eights setting, it's not the British that came to their aid, it's the French. The French sent thousands of troops over to assist the Confederacy. Therefore, the Confederacy was able to secede from the Union, and in return, the French wanted New Orleans back. And the Confederacy didn't want to give them New Orleans, and then the French said, well, we do have X number of thousands of French troops in New Orleans right now. Are you sure you don't want to just give it to us? It would be much easier. And then the Confederacy's like, well, on second thought, go ahead and take it. But that's the basic setting. And so we are currently playing this game, and Derek is running it. We are playing in the setting. You want to talk a little bit about the setting?
The setting is called Judas Crossing, and it's very interesting. The book is really well laid out. It gives you the entire town and then some. It gives you all the key players, all the different gangs and buildings and everything. Like, it tells you what building is what, which buildings are for sale, open lots that you can buy if you want to expand and do your own business.
Which is what we're doing.
Right. And then each building, it'll tell you who's in charge of it, what they do, and all related NPCs. There is a NPC guide we don't have with us, but it is
it's
about yay thick, just character sheets.
Complete character sheet for every single NPC in the entire town. And of course they have different adventure hooks. So if you interact with Ethel the prostitute,
it gives you everything. Some of their backstory, the way they behave,
what they got going on. A good GM can formulate an entire adventure out of any NPC in Judas Crossing. Kenzer Company is always doing stuff like this. You never lack for detail. So you would have to be the worst GM imaginable to not instantly create adventure paths for your characters.
One of the things that's really cool about Aces and Eights is that it does revolve around kind of a gambling system. Some people have been referring to it as like miniature games. I guess that's one way of looking at it, but it's not that bad. It's just kind of like in this Judas Crossing, there are 4 or 5 different gangs, and you can collect what's called interest chips, which are basically just colored poker chips from whatever you do. So if you start to gain the interest of certain gang members or whatever, your character will gain so many colored chips. And once they get to a certain point, the game kind of tells you, this is how they would normally handle this kind of situation. This is what they would try to do.
So that sort of leads to like shootout at the OK Corral type scenario. Like, okay, you've rocked the boat enough with this one faction in the town that they're going to come gunning for you. When they come gunning for you, that's when this game gets interesting. From Hackmaster, they have the count system where each count is a second. Aces and Eights is very similar. but each count, since it's gunfights, it doesn't take long to shoot a pistol. So each count in aces and eights is a tenth of a second. So
Right.
when the GM says, okay,
Which
start the count.
Which is one of those things, you know, I've seen other Wild West games and pretty much any game that includes modern firearms. They try to do some kind of quick draw system. You know, you can clear your holster, you get a +4 to initiative. It doesn't really hold that essence of a true gunfight quite like this one does. Like you were saying, you know, it's a tenth of a second, and so you really are. It gives that feel, trying
That
to get
urgency.
Yeah,
You know, in real life, a gunfight usually is over within 5 seconds, and there's somebody bleeding. Maybe both people are bleeding, but somebody's laying dead. Gunfights don't last very long.
One of the things is when you draw your weapon, not only do you kind of plot out these fractions of a second, but you also choose. Are you going to fire from the hip, which will allow you to shoot at your opponent faster, but a little less accurate, or are you going to bring it all the way? You can do a full draw, which takes longer, but you're a lot more accurate, so you're more likely to actually hit them.
Are you shooting at them with a single action or a double action? Takes forever to reload a shotgun, so you want to hit them with your first shot.
Yeah, and one of the things that makes a huge difference, and if you've ever played any kind of game with guns before, a huge difference is every attack, every shot is a called shot, and you get this like
okay, let's see. Well,
silhouette here.
It's got like a crosshairs, and you place the center of the silhouette. Say you wanted to shoot him right in the center of mass. So you would place the center of the silhouette there. And
you get a target number that you're aiming for, and if you...
It's 25, isn't it? Or 24?
24. 24 is a bullseye. You hit dead center where you were aiming. And now if you...
Let's see.
If you roll under a 24...
Let's get some background there so you can...
If you roll under a 24, you'll hit further and further away, and then to see where on the circle you hit, you actually get a deck of cards, and you'll draw, and then, like, starting here is the ace of spades, and then the 2 of spades, the 3 of spades, 4 of spades, all the way around to you hit king, and then it starts over again at the ace of hearts. So if you only hit a 19, you'll hit anywhere on this ring, and then you have to draw a card to see where on that ring that you hit. So you were shooting for his gun still in his holster, and you missed. Now you can miss him completely with a 19 of diamonds, or you can tag him in the gut with an ace of hearts.
So even if you miss your target number, you still may hit the target. The example given in the book is you're going to trick shoot your friend's hat off, and you miss, and you accidentally shoot him in the throat. So that's kind of cool, because if you get close to a perfect shot, you're more than likely, unless you're shooting at something really obscure like his outstretched pistol, like which a really hard shot, most of that is going to be open space, and you're probably going to miss, but you might hit him in the arm. But if you're shooting for center of mass, which is most shots typically, if you get high enough on your die roll, you're probably still going to hit him. And getting shot in this game, just like getting shot in the Old West, is really, really bad news. One of the beauties of it is, okay, standard role-playing game. I lost 12 hit points. GM, I'm going to go heal up.
Yeah.
You know, and time goes by, and then, bing, I'm back to normal. I lost 12 hit points, GM. I'm going to go heal up. Yes, you died of infection. Or leg had to be amputated. Or, you know, it's the standard problems with healing that we had before the invention of modern medicine. So, you know, and then there's a whole host of other horrible afflictions that you can get. Smallpox, for example, cholera, tuberculosis. Any bad thing that ever happened in the Old West is in this game. So we talked a little bit about combat. That template is called the Shot Clock. And then Kenzer comes out with a supplement called the Shootist Guide, which is just
tons of
silhouettes from hostage taking where the guys got there. There's a buffalo. There's shooting down from a rooftop.
Big game hunters.
Big game hunters. There's a snake. There's
There's people trying to snipe you. They're laying flat, trying to shoot at you. People standing sideways and shooting at you. People facing you directly.
Kneeling behind cover. It's great. Now the game, that's a separate product. You have to buy that separately. The player's guidebook comes with a front silhouette and a side silhouette. It comes with 2 of what they call the shot clocks, and we were looking at the standard shot clock earlier. I apologize for the transparency, but there are 2 of them. This is the shotgun shot clock, and then this is the regular bullet shot clock, and there are different rules, of course, because shotgun shoots a bunch of pellets. The setting, we talked a little bit about. It's awesome. Quality Kenzer and Company product. The book is beautiful. The artwork is great. The Judas Crossing supplement has got GMs covered. And in our game, we've plunked Judas Crossing down in the Oregon Territory. But it's designed to be, you can basically put it as a small town anywhere. Profession paths.
Profession paths are kind of interesting because there aren't really classes. So what you do is you get a profession path, and it can be anything from a cook, a banker, a gun for hire, professional gambler, and you can have more than one profession path. And at the beginning of each game, you pretty much tell your GM, I want to focus on this, and so it gives you a list of things to do, and you get your bonus points off of that.
So you don't get experience points for going and shooting a bunch of bandits.
You get
unless you're a gunslinger, then you might. But if your profession path is I want to be a prospector.
I think one of the characters I made, I was a gambler, and like one of the profession paths was to acquire a gambling kit for your game of choice. And mine was poker, so I got some cards, some poker chips. And I think it was like 5 BP for that.
Yeah, build points. It's a build point driven character generation.
And then after that, it was other things like, host and run a game for a month consecutively. Eventually build your own gambling hall and anything and everything in between.
It's pretty cool. There's been some pushback saying that, if you're a gambler and the GM has you guys attacked by Indians or something on a wagon train, then how are you going to advance your profession path? And so it might not be for everybody. If you want just standard experience points, no matter what you do, as long as you're doing something, you get points. That's not really the way Aces and Eights set up, and that's not really the way they intended it to be set up. So they did it on purpose. So if you want...
I think one of the adjustments we did was let people follow 2 paths.
2 paths, yeah.
That way. So
my character in the game that Derek's running, I am a businessman and a chef, a cook. And so my character actually ended up opening a restaurant. So I was actually double whammy there because that's fulfilling both professions in one. There are other things like personal goals. What was Trisha's personal goal? Do you remember? Or do you remember anything?
I don't. I remember a lot of them. I know.
It's random.
Yeah, there's random chart, I remember, and it also helps with the lure of why you travel west.
Yeah, when you're building your character in Kenzer and Company, the finest tradition of Kenzer and Co., there's a million charts you roll on to get a fully fleshed out character. So reasons for traveling west, personal goals. So my reason for traveling west was to open a business. And one of my personal goals is to survive a gunfight. Not win, just survive. Then you can have, there's so many. You can pick your own, or you can roll for them randomly. It's very similar to Hackmaster in that once you finish your character, which takes a while, especially the first time you ever do it, it's going to take you a while to build a character. You get in the hang of it eventually, but when you finish your character, you have a fully developed character. He's got a full backstory, or he's got everything you want. Equipment in this is fantastic. It's period specific and it's complete. I mean, socks, good boots, work boots, for 10 different kinds of derringers, all the appropriate weaponry. There's a whole chapter on horses, and they even cover like the markings on the horses. And it's Kenzer and Co. They've got everything covered. I was reading in some online reviews of this that they said that, you know, even if the game is a little too complicated for you, buy it just for the source material if you ever run a Wild West game. I don't think it's too complicated, though. It's complicated, but you get the hang of it. It's just like Hackmaster. You know, there are a lot of rules and it seems intimidating, but start with the easy stuff. There is a quick start section in the player's handbook, and then incorporate in some of the advanced rules. We're having fun playing it. We'll make a video
shortly.
Yeah, once we've all been killed by Apaches, or however we wrap up that campaign, we'll make a video with the full complement of players, hopefully, and each give our thoughts on it. But we're liking it so far. TheTabletopGenerals.com. We've got the Player's Guide. We've got Judas Crossing. I think we have the Fool's Gold, which is a smaller supplement. It's by Kenzer and Company, and we recommend it. We're having a lot of fun playing it. Have a great day.
Happy gaming.